All right, folks, welcome back to the Night's Watch. I'm Jacob.
I'm Alex.
And it is another special Tavern Talk episode as we record from the brewery. Recurring guest Tyler is also here, but he's busy working. But rest assured, he is about 4 feet away from us.
Exactly. We can get his opinions. But it is the last home game of the year. And we're going, both going to the game, and we've got 3 games left. Coming off of last week, we're only at 2, and both pretty good games despite what we were missing, right?
No, yeah, exactly. Especially the
Habs game, right?
Yeah,
they had McKinnon, they had everybody but Marchy Netchus, right?
It was basically their full complement minus one guy.
We took them to a shootout and lost in the shootout. Team played really, really well. We were missing Eichel, Hurdle, Petro, and Haig were missing that game too, right?
Yep.
But the team looked good as a whole. People stepped up and we took them to shootout. Frankly, a game we should have lost.
And also
right?
don't forget Schmid started.
Well, Schmid had a great game too.
He did.
Really good game.
I feel bad because I feel like, to me, when I saw that he was starting, I was like, okay, well, it's clear that Cassidy was like, well, we're going to lose this. Let's rest Aiden while we can.
This is our built-in 4-0 loss that we have once every couple weeks, right? But no, they played really well. Obviously a shootout loss, but you take the point, right? Especially in a game that you're expecting 0 points.
Not exactly. Well, I didn't even watch the first period because I was so sure that we were. Yeah. I went on a walk.
Then
I checked the score and I was like, oh, hey,
it's tied.
I saw a lot of people focusing on that, like, well, they were up 2 and they choked it away. I'm like, okay,
you're against the full complement of the Avs team. And the number 1 scorer in the league and the best defenseman in the league and all these great players, it's going to be okay.
Exactly.
And one of those goals was on the penalty kill. We're back to our power kill with Smith and Carlson. It looked great.
But put it to you this way. If anything, that game, more than anything else recently, gave me faith that we might actually do something in the playoffs this year. Because, you saw the depth step up in a real way.
And, again, this was without Hurdle and Eichel.
Without our
2 centers.
Without our top 2 centers.
Yeah.
Without Pietrangelo.
Yeah. And that was the entire third line. We had basically an entire line come in that was scratched formally.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, we had Schwint and...
we had Brett Howden playing on the first line.
Yeah, it was Schwint and...
he looked good.
He looked really good. Schwint was in... that's right, because Olofsson played that game. Schwint was in, and then we had the whole bottom pair, right? Was Hutton and Korzak. And everybody played really well.
Good old Hutton. No matter how many games he misses, as soon as he comes in, he's
good.
I'm
sure most guys would love to have their middle pairing defenseman be Ben Hutton, but he's our 8th guy right now. Oh, yeah. That's pretty insane, right?
Well, as Gary Lawless said on a podcast the other day, he's like, most teams would love to have Hutton and Korzak, and they would be in the top 6 on almost any other team in the league.
Yeah, maybe any other team but like Colorado and LA probably. Like,
I mean, I don't got every defenseman's roster in front of me,
but they'd be in the top 6 lineup. Yeah, for sure.
Certainly be in the top 6 of Edmonton.
Oh yeah, they'd be in the top 4 of Edmonton.
Yep.
But
after today, one of them might be on the top.
But then we followed that up with a 2-1 win against the Kraken. Team looked good in general. Again, missing Eichel, Petro, Hagen. This time also Olofsson.
Yes.
But Hurdle was back. Hurdle didn't score, but he looked great.
He did not miss a beat. And also, real quick, Olsen missed that game, but
he's looked so good with Carlson and Smith.
I honestly believe that he will not get taken out of the lineups in the playoffs.
Once he's through this sickness or whatever, they're all dealing with. He's a everyday guy, right?
That line has been so good, and I wanted to add this point about the Colorado game before we moved on. Games like this, when you're missing your stars, when you're facing a fucking stacked opponent, you're on the road. End of a road trip, even if it wasn't a very long one. Those moments like those, you can really see, what your team is made of and who you can rely on. And man, William Karlsson and Riley Smith,
holy shit,
they are fucking nails. Yeah. We knew this already, but it took a little bit of time for them to get back into it. Karlsson missed a lot of time with injury. Riley was
on bad teams,
really
for 2
bad
years.
Teams. But dude, they look so good on the PK, on 5-on-5. Yeah. Like they were both playing in the power play because of the limited, roster.
Yep.
And
they've looked great, right?
Their motors were going, as they say.
Everybody's flying. Like we talked about how like Smith wasn't scoring, right? And then suddenly he's got 7 points in 10 games.
Yeah.
And it was just the first couple games he didn't score. Now he's just been fucking flying, right?
And keep in mind, as of today, as of this recording, it looks like no one's in danger of, missing game 1.
Yeah, it's more of like nursing an injury, but more of like wink injury. They're sore.
Exactly.
Jack Eichel's sore from carrying the scoring on this team.
Tyler and I were talking about this earlier. It's like rest and load management. It's like such a dirty taboo in hockey. But put it to you this way. I don't doubt that those guys are injured, but Alex Pietrangelo said this himself before in an interview. He was like, listen, he's like, if you're playing pro hockey and like after like January, you were injured.
You're injured, yeah.
You are injured.
But then like we said, like load management, whatever.
It's a dirty taboo topic.
But you kind of need it, right? Like then, like what's the point? Like we clinched the playoff spot, and then the next night, I think next night or two, we clinched home ice advantage in the first round.
Yep.
So why would you rush Jack back? Why would you say, Petro and Hank, get out there? I know you're sick, but play. Like,
exactly.
No point.
And obviously, we want to win the division. You want to hold on to home ice for as long as you can.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, give Jack a break. And I honestly believe, like, the only reason that because it sounds like he already was injured.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only reason he kept playing was because, he's like, oh, well, I want to hit 100 points. And that's an admirable personal goal.
Admirable.
But when he went like 3 or 4 without scoring, I'm guessing
that's when he was feeling it.
I'm guessing the coaching staff and the trainer was like, bro, just take a week off, man. Like it's fine. Like no one's gonna remember that. What they will remember is if we win another cup.
Yeah, and you had 93 points, right?
Yeah,
you're 7 away from 100. You're still a top 5 or 6 scorer in the league this year, so it's not like it's a massive deal. Yeah, I think we're fine. And then, like we said, Hurdle was back, and he immediately looked good. He's going to be in tonight. That line looks just great together.
Yes, so good.
That line didn't miss a beat at all.
Hurdle looked amazing. He was, and to me, why I'm apprehensive, why I was apprehensive after that injury. So much of his game is like physicality, and like I don't mean physicality as in like hitting people.
Yeah,
as in
like
just like
strength.
Just being strong on the puck, getting behind the net, getting in front of the net. Damn, LA just destroyed fucking Mackenzie Blackwood. That's got to be a penalty.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks, we got some games on here at the Brew Pub.
But yeah,
let's see this replay. Look.
Oh, I don't know. He was kind of driven into him, but Blackwood went head first straight into Kopitar's crotch.
Yeah, I was going to say he got bodied.
Jesus.
Mid-bodied in the head. But anyways,
Hurdle.
So much of his game is physicality and strength on the puck. And, once the puck's on his stick, you just can't get it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a shoulder injury, well,
it's a lot to deal with, right?
What do you use your shoulders for in hockey?
You're leaning on that shoulder a lot. That's where all your push, your pressure and everything comes from.
Yeah, and then when I saw, like, well, maybe the injury wasn't as bad, and it actually looks like he's going to be back soon, part of me was like, are they rushing this?
Yeah.
Are they rushing this? They're just trying to get him back in the playoffs, but no, he looked
just
absolutely
the same.
Fine.
Yeah, he looked like the same
fine.
player he was before he left, and he had a great quote. Was you don't get like my dad always says, you don't get injured if you score.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
if you just scored, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's a good kind of mindset to have after that. But he looked really good. Sods looked great. Dory's so good that he was double shifting Dory at a certain point on the wing.
I will say we made the joke of Holtz.
But with Holtz was we're making
the joke like he's already sitting, but hey, on that shift where I think Dorofeev scored. Carlson.
Yeah,
he did a good job of crashing the net and getting in the goalie's eyes.
That's the thing. I don't have a problem with Alexander Holtz at all.
I really don't.
Like it's just
he does all the
other guys got better than he did, right?
He got better at doing the little things and better at playing away from the puck, but I think he just really couldn't score, which is one thing. But then when if you have two guys that do the same thing, you want the guy that does a little, like Raphael Lavoie can do what Holtz was realistically doing. You know what I mean?
He's bigger, and
exactly.
He's the same age. He's bigger. He's more physical. And
he
will fight if he needs to.
Exactly. And what would set Holtz apart would be scoring. And if he's not scoring, then
Well, it's also the thing that kind of now we can talk about Holtz for a minute. As like some players, obviously Olofsson kind of is panned out a little bit because we talked about him, the guy that we brought in. Schmid's looked decent in relief. Samsonov's been okay. And Holtz never really panned out. But again, he's still very young. But the thing that really got me with Holtz was even in Henderson, when they're on the power play, Holtz is sitting right there at the dot, ready to shoot, and they look at him and pass the other way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the best shot your team has.
So frustrating.
Right?
Well, that one game we were at, he was like on the goal line. I'm like, why are you putting him on the goal line? Whatever.
But regardless, Holtz looked good. He's going to play tonight again?
I think so. Well, let me check the lineup.
Because I know Olofsson is sick still, and they said Jack wasn't skating, but he could just always appear, right?
Well, no, Jack was skating.
No, was skating, but he wasn't taking rushes.
rushes.
But knowing Eichel, he could just be there for warm-ups and be in the game, right? Because I think it was the same lineup as the Kraken game.
Yeah, he's playing.
Holtz.
Same spot. It's basically the same lineup as the last game.
Yeah. And that's if Eichel doesn't appear, right? But yeah, I mean, again, we're playing the Predators. One, we win, we clinch the division, right?
Yeah.
But we should win this game pretty handily, with March. Obviously,
well, should we though? Because have we had a single good game against the Predators in like 2 years?
Yeah, it's that team that's always. Well, we won in Nashville last time we played them, right?
Yeah, I know, but they just
wasn't great. Yeah.
Well, it's like Chicago. It's like, well, you should beat them, right? But it's never easy.
No,
it's never easy.
No, it's like with the Kraken too. They played hard, and they're out. But I know Nashville's been probably taking it a little harder than most.
Yeah.
So, it'll be a fun game. And, we win the Pacific Division. And that would lock us into playing the wild card one, right?
Yeah, because Winnipeg presumably will have wild card two.
Yeah. And we'll see next week who that actually ends up being, because that's still up in the air.
Literally, because Minnesota and St. Louis are tied in points.
Yeah, because right now it's with Pacific, it's us, then LA, Edmonton. We're watching LA play, and so basically it's they lose, we're Pacific one. We win, we're Pacific one. So just win.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Edmonton is going to be either the 2 or the 3 seed, and wild card is Minnesota, St. Louis, with Calgary only 3 points back.
Yeah.
Like a very reasonable amount of points, and they have a game in hand.
Huge game last night.
Very good.
Calgary and Minnesota played each other.
That was massive.
And Calgary fucking smoked them. Like,
that was with Kaprizov and
and Eriksson Ek.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going poorly because Michael Russo was melting down on Bluesky.
He's the athletic reporter, right?
He's their Jesse Granger, but
he's like way
he's very invested.
Yeah,
like most guys are like, well, I'm not a fan. I just cover the team. It's just my job. But
yeah.
From him, you could tell he loves the fucking Wild.
Jeez.
Sometimes it's a little annoying because I'm like, all right, Michael, you're not a team employee. Take it easy.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You work for the Athletic. You don't work for the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of appreciate it. I'm like, hey,
he invested.
He's because small tangent. It also irritates me when some of the Vegas guys are like, well, I'm not a fan. I just work for Fox Radio, or I just work for the Athletic, or I just work for whatever. And I'm like, bro, I can tell how upset you get after a bad game. Like, you're obviously
you're
a fan.
Don't
lie.
Don't lie.
It's fine. You don't have to lie. It's okay. You're in a safe space. No one's going to question your journalistic integrity.
Exactly.
Just don't make an ass of yourself in the box, and you're good.
Exactly. But yeah, Minnesota, that was with Kaprizov and Eriksson. They're basically their full team, right? They're essentially their full roster playoff team. And
they lost to Calgary in a huge game.
Pretty handily. And that was with Gustafsson playing. And it just wasn't a good game for them. And I'd be scared of if I'm Minnesota and I'm Bill Garrett, I'm like, oh shit, we might you need to get in that locker room now and be like, you guys are gonna miss the fucking playoffs.
Yeah.
Keep playing like this, you're gonna miss the playoffs.
Well, and it's funny because at the beginning of the season, no one really expected Minnesota to be as good as they started the year off.
No, they were great.
I think we all just kind of accepted that, hey, one more year of cap hell, and then we're gonna have all the space.
Yeah, because we had them 6th or something like that. But we also had to keep in mind this fucking division can go any direction.
Exactly.
And clearly, it's gone many directions.
Yes.
But I don't think anybody had Minnesota in, but they started off so hot and they all looked so good and they stayed good, right? Everybody stayed, even with Kaprizov out, they looked.
Well, they did for a bit, and then they looked bad. They held on for a little bit, and then the last 2 months they've been
the wheels have really
bad.
come off the train, right? I don't know.
They've been bad and have only gotten worse.
I don't know if Calgary can win the next 3 games and they're all winnable. Because I think if we win tonight, we're gonna play half an AHL team come that game. There's no point.
Yeah.
Then now that St. Louis has lost a couple games too. Remember we talked about it last week.
Exactly. It's
you mentioned.
Yeah, you might win X amount in a row, but guess what happens after a winning streak? You usually start losing.
Yeah, and they're losing to worse teams than them.
Yeah.
I would argue Edmonton's a worse team than them, and they lost to Edmonton.
Well, yeah, and Edmonton, McDavid was back that game, but I think Draisaitl was still out. Yeah. They were still missing guys, and it was a measuring stick game, and they fell short.
Right.
All there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see come end of next week who we're playing. And then with that, obviously, we'll only be recording for 20 minutes. It's not a lot of news, right?
I was about to say, sometimes I have that feeling here. I'm like, all right, we're really rocking and rolling, and I look at the time. I'm like, it's been 20 minutes. We covered everything.
Yeah, we don't want to spend an hour and a half just rambling, right?
I mean, we can.
Get
a few more drinks tonight.
Right, exactly. But yeah, with we just talked, it's a little short of a week, right? Where there's plenty coming up next week. I think it's going to be the big what's going on, right? But there's a couple things that came up during the week. I think that a big thing we both kind of hate right now is the Habs.
I am so fucking sick of them already,
jerking themselves off. Not even in the playoffs yet. They're not even in the playoffs yet. They're still not clinched. They're a wild card 2. They're close, but they're wild card 2.
Well, they could have clinched last night, and what did they do? They got shut out by the Senators.
Yeah, and then Columbus won today.
Blasted fucking the Capitals, which that's its own story.
Yeah, and they won today, 7-0. I think it was, right? 6 or 7-0.
7-0.
And so they're still in it, right? I mean, we're watching the Rangers lose right now, so both New York teams are going to be out by the end of the day. So it's a Columbus-Montreal race. But you talk of Montreal in the playoffs like they're the Cup favorites, and then
Did you see that
Ivan Demidov thing?
Did you see that they included a clause? If you win the Conn Smythe, you get a signing bonus.
Yeah, you get a bonus. You get a bonus of it was $500,000, some shit like that.
And I heard that I didn't read it, but someone's like, "Well, there's actually a logical reason why they did that." I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It's just stupid. It's stupid.
And it's again them putting all their hope into an unproven prospect who's only ever played in Russia, whose first experience is going to be in the playoffs.
Well, and here's the thing. I fully believe that Ivan Demidov will be a star player.
I think so too. He's got all those tools. Yeah.
Because he was supposed to go too.
That's right.
The only reason he didn't was because of, way back long ago, 10 months ago, there was an administration that was pretty hard on Russia.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Things have gotten
so now
quite
it's like,
cozied
come on
up.
over, everybody.
But, that was the only reason because the Habs picked, 5th or something? The only reason he dropped The only reason he dropped down that low was because of the Russia question and the KHL question.
He's going to take forever to get here.
Exactly. When do we get him? What's it going to look like? Is he going to be stuck there for fucking 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for that, he would have been the clear number 2.
Yeah.
I fully believe that. Yeah, he has. He's
got a ton of potential.
He's got the skill. His body seems ready for the NHL.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. But it really is, again, just this, this thing that we both hate, right? We're just going to put all our fucking hopes and prayers on the backs of a
18, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And
no matter how good you are, Sometimes there isn't, but there almost always is an adjustment period from KHL to NHL because it's a different game almost, right? I mean,
look at Dorofiev. I mean, I know he never played in the KHL, but I'm pretty sure he played in the minor league. But it took him a while to get there. You're not going to be great overnight. Like Beachcop was good, has been good this year, very good this year, but it took him a little bit of time to adjust, right? Mm-hmm. I think Demidow's going to be good, but like that video.
The Habs fans, not even at the Montreal airport, at the Toronto airport.
Toronto, they drove from Quebec. Like that's like a 4 or 5 hour drive. Hey, drove down to Toronto, and they're like, "What if it's Montreal fans in Toronto?" I'm like, no,
no.
Immediate no.
I could hear the French accent as they were going, "The meatloaf, the meatloaf."
You might as well flown in from fucking France, like and like. People are like, it's cool that like there's that into it. I'm like, isn't
that just so sweet and endearing? Really I'm like, no, it's actually uncomfortable and weird.
Imagine being a 19-year-old coming over to this place to play a game you played, and all these crazy fucking people are at the airport.
Better yet, Alex, imagine being a 32-year-old man and driving to the airport to welcome a fucking teenage prospect.
And having to get through a fucking like a sea of people.
Alex, next year, are you going to meet me at the Las Vegas airport to welcome Pavel Moisevic to the AHL to training camp?
Exactly.
No, because that's normal people don't do that. That's too much.
It's ridiculous. And
guys, I'm a hockey fanatic. Like 3/4 of my T-shirts are Golden Knights T-shirts.
I'm never. We have a podcast. We'll talk about them, but I will never go to a fucking airport.
The team
has swarm a teenager coming to play for my team.
The team has a direct impact on my mental well-being, but I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go to fucking whatever they're calling the airport nowadays and welcome someone.
No,
it's too much.
It's too much.
The most I'll do is leave an Instagram comment and be like, "Woo!"
But then, like you sent me a post talking about the Canadians next year. I'm like, well, they're still Canadians this year. Like, let's not forget about that. But the Canadians, listing out the Canadian teams next year, and a very prominent, I guess you call
those big head hockey.
Yeah,
that's not afraid to call him out. I hate that guy.
Saying, listing out these lines, listing out the defense, and Sam Montembeault, and here's these rookie goaltenders behind him who barely played games. This is easily a 50-win team. I'm like, no, it's not.
No.
Like I know I hate the Canadians, but objectively, that team.
I'm like your projected second line center is Alex Newhook, and you're a 50-win team.
I think that Newhook or Doc.
Even worse.
There's no
even
way.
Worse.
Kirby Doc is awful. And Brendan Gallagher is still 30.
Kirby Doc had the promise of being good like 3 years ago.
Kirby Doc is a top 5 minus in the league. I know it's not everything, but he's not very good.
Oh, he broke his wrist 3 years ago. You got to keep that in mind.
He had his little fucking noodle wrist. And then Sam Montembeault, not a good goaltender. He's a serviceable goaltender. He's been really good.
Actually, I looked up his GSA. It was actually pretty high. I was like, ooh. So, but even then, it's like, I mean, you were number 3 on Team Canada.
But this is also the same
a team that was being criticized by everyone for their lack of goaltending.
But this is also the same problem as the Oilers, right?
Yeah.
Like, less so because they're not superstars, right? I wouldn't classify anybody on that team as a superstar yet. I think Nick Suzuki is a star. I think Lane Hudson's a future star. I wouldn't classify anybody as a superstar, right? A top 10 player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But you're falling in the same trap of this team is going to win this many games. I'm like, but with what defense?
Yeah.
With what defensive defenseman? Mike Matheson can't do it forever. Everybody else is not very good on that team on defense, and the rest of those forwards aren't great. And, I'm just kind of like, I think it's more like the Canadian bias, right? Where it's like, they're focusing on the Habs. I'm like, focus on Winnipeg. Like,
no, for real.
Focus on Toronto.
Oh,
Toronto's been great.
Toronto and Winnipeg are miles ahead of Habs, and I get it. Like, they might make the playoffs a year or two early in their year rebuild. It's a fucking 500 team, dude. Like, the only reason they're making the playoffs
because the East is so bad. Look
East
at the
is
points.
Fucking awful.
So they have 87, and Columbus has 83 now. New York's getting stomped right now. Rangers are getting stomped. Detroit's is out of it, I would say.
They're formally out.
And the Islanders got eliminated today.
Yeah.
And that's all 80 points. to make wild card 2, you need 93 to 95 points in the West.
Yeah.
But the East is so much better. It's so closer. The only reason they have less points is because they all beat up on each other. I'm like, have you ever considered they're all dog shit?
No, exactly. They're all they all stink, and no one can fucking win 3 games in a row.
Everybody sucks.
And the second that the Habs did, everyone was like, well, it's time to fucking
crown them,
crown them fucking lord of the fucking East.
And then the fact that Washington just kind of like fucking sleptwalked for the whole season, with good goaltending and some decent depth. That's kind of that's a testament. Like both the other points, like Carolina has only got 97, New Jersey's got 80 fucking 9 as the 3 seed.
Yeah, that's sad.
Toronto's got 100, Tampa Bay's got 98, Florida's got 96.
The only teams out of the East that I think really are dangerous are like Toronto and
Carolina.
Tampa and like even Carolina. I'm like,
yeah,
no,
sure, because the goaltending's not.
It's not that great. And like,
I would say Toronto and Tampa Bay. I would say literally the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Whoever
Which is
makes
what we
it out
said
of
at the beginning of the year. That the Metro is dog shit.
Yeah, whoever makes it out of the Atlantic is probably going to be in the Cup final. And all 3 of those teams.
I would take Ottawa over some of these teams.
Yeah. No, I think
they're not like
Allmark.
Yeah, exactly. They're not perfect, but you know what? They got offense, they got some grit, and they got a goalie.
Here's the whole thing: if Jack Hughes was healthy, New Jersey would be a difference. Here.
And Dougie Hamilton and Eunice Siegenthaler.
If all 3 of those guys were healthy, we'd be talking about New Jersey way differently coming into the playoffs. But the fact that they don't have any 3 of those guys. Markstrom can't save everything, right?
Well, dude, he's like...
He's not been great recently, right?
His second half, basically from coming back from injury, he's been bad. Like, I'm pretty sure he's under a 900 right now.
Oof. Yeah? So, yeah, I mean... We'll see about obviously we'll talk about playoffs come next week, right? We'll see where everybody's seated. It'll be finalized come next Saturday.
Yeah, I think next week we'll do a full-on playoff preview.
I know
obvious focus on Vegas.
Circle us back with the Habs, but I want to spend the next who knows how long, 20 to 30 minutes talking about a topic near and dear to our heart.
Where'd you pull that number from? Did you look at the clock and say, "Oh, it's only been 29 minutes. We gotta stretch this thing out."
But near and dear to our heart in terms of LTIR, right? But also in terms of what we've just talked about, but in the opposite direction. Talking about prospects getting overhyped. Gabriel Landeskog came back and played his first professional game in 3 years last night in the AHL, which
awesome.
Nothing against Gabriel Landeskog. I think this is a great story. I think he's really worked to get back to where not even where he was, just to play hockey again.
Oh, yeah.
This is commendable. This is respectable. I will respect the work the man's put in. He could have easily said, fuck it, I'm done. I'm out. I won a cup. I got paid. I'm done. Very easily. And I wouldn't have blamed him. That's something that I think Patrick Kane should have done.
Yeah.
Something I think Jonathan Taves should do now. There's no shame in calling it, right?
Yeah.
But he worked to come back, and he did come back, and he played in his first AHL game last night.
Played 15 minutes.
Played 15 minutes. He looked like he was skating well.
Said he felt good, which is the big thing.
That's the big thing. It's like you said, we talked about last night with who was it?
Tuukka
Rask, yeah.
He tried to make a similar comeback, and he played like one period in Providence, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm retiring.
I'm out." Yeah. Oh yeah. And that might be harder for goaltenders too, right? Like it's a different kind of game for them than a skater, right? And they're playing 60 minutes; they're not playing 20. I think a similar thing happened with Ben Bishop and Matt Murray too.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't work out, right? But with Landeskog, of course, he plays a team near and dear to our heart. The Silver
Knights.
Against
Henderson. Wow.
Played against Henderson.
And because it was his first game back and no other reason, they streamed the game on YouTube last night.
And it was packed. Like I read that
they said
tickets
they
going
sold
for the games for $250 to go to that game.
Yeah, and they sold out. They were sold out.
I mean, good for them. Good for they're in the playoffs. Good for the Eagles. But coming out of it, he looked good. And the whole thing is like, Landeskog's back. The Avs are going to be so different with Landeskog. I'm like, they're not really.
No.
He played 15 minutes.
Before we worry about him in the NHL, I will also say that last night, one thing that irked me was like one of his first shifts, there was a scrum, and he felt the need to go up to Ben Hemmerling and just start fucking going at him and hitting him and throwing him around. And
did get a penalty called on him.
And I don't even care about the penalty or not. I'm just like, yeah, it's a scrum, whatever. What bugged me is that the clip of that, went semi-viral on hockey channels, and everyone's like, oh, Landy's back. He's putting that fucking nobody in his place. So that nobody was Ben Hemmerling, who is
20 years old.
Who's a rookie.
In the AHL.
He's played like maybe 10 AHL games.
Yeah, he hasn't even played a full season. Barely came in this year.
Yeah, and fine, whatever. It's hockey. I don't think Ben's gonna remember or care, frankly. But all I could think of was, do you remember like about a year ago in a preseason game where some fucking ECHL/AHL lifer fucking ran Mark Stone in a preseason game?
Yep.
And everyone came to his defense, as you should for your captain. And then Stone sprang up, and he grabbed the first LA King closest to him, which was Brant Clark. And he was yelling at him, and you could just like see the fear in Clark's eyes. Yeah. And it went even more viral than Landeskog last night. Everyone was just clowning on Stone. It's like, why you got to treat a rookie like that? That makes no sense. Like, God, I hate Vegas so much. Vegas is so trashy. And
and
like what?
Situation.
It's hockey, princess. You can't take a hit. Come on, blah 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 blah. And it is just fucking insane to me, the double think and the cognitive dissonance that happens with the average hockey fan when it comes to Vegas.
Well, like our favorite phrase, goal team bad.
Goal team bad. My favorite account on Instagram.
On Instagram, goal team bad. We love that guy.
Yeah,
but it's
or my other favorite phrase from Theodore's Missing Tooth on Twitter, VDS, fucking Vegas derangement syndrome.
Yeah, like it's a different situation, right? Where that was a preseason game, you're getting ready for the regular season, and the guy on the Kings was trying to make an AHL team something, whatever, right? I don't think he's played a game in their overall organization at all. But he boarded the shit out of Mark Stone, like ran him into the boards. And the difference was Mark Stone hopped up, was like, I don't know who I'm fucking grabbing, but I'm grabbing somebody. And the team came to his defense. Whereas this was a scrum behind the net, and Landeskog skated in and then grabbed him from behind. And of course, obviously Landeskog wants to he's feeling himself back into the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm like, I don't even really like.
I don't blame him.
I don't begrudge him from doing that. Like, to me, it's almost like getting your touches. You're just,
exactly. He's getting his mind back.
He's probably just thinking. He's probably just thinking, like, oh man, I haven't been in a scrum in 3 years.
I want to grab somebody. Sick. Like
I don't mind what he actually did.
You mind the reaction?
I don't mind. Yeah, because I don't mind the actions on the ice. There wasn't a penalty. It was. I hate the circle jerk. That's my whole thing. I hate the online circle jerk that hockey fans fall into.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like we talked about the Habs, the online circle jerk of all. I'm like, the whole topic we've heard in the last month with the LTIR stuff of not us, because we don't have anybody on the LTIR. Our whole team is cap compliant right now. How good it is. With the Stars bringing back Heiskanen and Sagan, with the Habs bringing back Landeskog, and then with the Oilers potentially maybe bringing back Kane.
Evander Kane. No, he's practicing. He's ready to go.
Okay, but the whole talk is like, whoa, these guys are going to have these back. These teams are going to be so good. Nothing about, is this?
I was told this is against the rules.
Yeah,
I was told this is cheating.
This is unfair. This is this. I'm like,
I was told the only reason that any team could do this is because they're Bettman's pets.
Exactly.
Bettman's favorites.
But they're doing the same thing, but in a worse way, because with Stone is just such a difference maker, right? And he's, $9 million player, so we're able to get a lot for him. But the league investigated multiple times, and they said, oh yeah, he was legitimately injured. Like, you're telling me he fucking burst his own spleen last year just to do it?
Yeah.
Or his back, before his back surgery.
No, because to them, they're like, it's just all lies.
Yeah.
It's all made up.
But now it's Evander Kane. They put him, all of a sudden put him on LTIR at the trade deadline instead of
it's funny because he was injured, and then
he was legitimately. He had
you look at the timeline. They planned the surgeries. They basically said, okay, here's one surgery, and then 3 months later, and here's another surgery.
Yeah.
And it looks like you tweaked something in practice. Let's do another surgery.
Yeah.
And guess what? If we stretch it out all year, well, they needed the extra cap space so they could have Jeff Skinner,
and Victor Arvidsson.
Yeah,
and trade for that big acquisition that may never play another game for them in Trent Frederick.
Yep.
But
another game.
Let's look at it this way though. Like the guys that are on LTIR that we may see in the West, right? Let's look at Dallas because I think that's, I don't know. Well, Colorado's the better team. Realistically, Landeskog will probably slot into the fourth line, maybe third line, just because you can't expect him to play the first line.
He hasn't played an NHL game since they won the Cup.
Yeah, maybe he'll ramp up to that, but you don't want him ramping up in the playoffs when you're going to play the Stars. You're not telling me that Landeskog's going to jump over and Jamie Benn's eyes are going to go, oh boy, another captain I can kill.
Dude, so all I can think of is that last year, Tomas Hertl, he came back into the lineup like 6 games before the playoffs, maybe?
Yes.
And he had a good, strong start the first game or two, but after that, he could barely get up and down the ice.
Well, remember,
he was so fucking exhausted.
That was the talking point going. We even thought about that too, right? Going into the season, we're like, okay, what can Tomas Hertl do, right? What can he get to? Can he get back to what he was in San Jose? And even for the first little bit of the season, we were just like, ooh, I don't know. He's not looking great. And now he's just, he's been great. He's been incredible. He's the number 2 goal scorer on the team. And it's only because he's been out for the last couple weeks. And, it takes time to ramp back up into playing shape, right?
To get into NHL game shape and then get into playoff shape. Yeah.
Stone was the same way. He came off LTIR game 1 of the playoffs, and he did not look good most of that entire series.
Guys, it is not...
It's not like
It's not a good thing.
No, it's not a given that this guy... They are playing injured. Maybe Landeskog feels a little bit better.
The only reason the year that we won the Cup that Stone was able to get back to speed is because, 1, he was the only guy.
Yes.
And 2, it's because we played fucking Winnipeg in the first round.
Yeah.
No offense to Winnipeg, but
that team,
the depth was able to get it done while he got back up to speed.
Yeah, exactly. We had a lot of that's what I love about this team this year. It's deeper than it's been. But yeah, with the Stars too, Sagan and Heiskanen, I think Heiskanen is going to be a massive boost once he's fully back, because that defense is not good.
The defense is awful.
I'll
save it for next week, but of all those fucking heavy teams in the West, I'm Dallas is the one where I'm might be fool's gold because your defense fucking sucks.
The forwards are great. With Sagan being back in the lineup, the forward group is great, but without Heiskanen, that defense is awful.
Yeah.
It's Thomas Harley.
Yeah.
And good fucking luck after that.
Half of that decor is made up of hopes and dreams.
That decor, it's called hopes. Hopes Matt Dumba, dreams of Cody Ceci. Jesus Christ. And he'll be a huge boost. But then what really? It's one guy again, like you said. It's one player. They can't play all 60 minutes of the game. Same thing with Edmonton. Yeah, Evander King will be back. That's going to be a huge boost for that team and some grit. But is he really going to be up to anything of what he was before? Is he going to be up to? I mean, obviously he's going to be doing fucking nefarious shit on the ice, right? Yeah. He's going to be trying to hurt people like he always does. But you're telling me that we're watching? Oh, Colorado tied it.
Yep.
But we're watching the Kings. Let's take they're probably if we win tonight, the matchup will be the Kings and the Oilers, right? The Kings are a much heavier, much bigger,
much deeper,
much
more
nastier
balanced
team. You don't think that Evander Kane will try to pull some shit and then fucking Kevin Fiala's going to try to fucking behead him on the ice?
Yeah.
Kevin Fiala's a nasty guy. Drew Doughty's a nasty dude.
Well, everyone forgets because he stopped scoring after his rookie year, but Tanner Jeannot
is a nasty fucking motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
Warren Fogle, who knows the Edmonton Oilers very well.
He probably resents them.
He's going to want to scoring. In Byfield, as much as they're going to try and bully the younger players, the younger players in this team have a bite to them, right?
Yeah.
Byfield's a big motherfucker. That kid is huge. And, it's going to, like you said, it's going to take time for someone to ramp up. You're not going to be great. And even then, what was Evander Kane before the injury? He was a middle six guy.
Not exactly. All he really... The biggest impact that he had in the playoffs in 2023 was that he ran Alex Pietrangelo after a whistle.
Yeah.
And then that way, when Alex Pietrangelo went to his hearing with player safety, he had credible evidence to say, Well, of course I had to slash something. You guys aren't getting it done, so I had to do it myself.
Exactly.
That's all he did. The only impact he really had was for us.
Yeah,
not for his own team. By being a hothead idiot.
We've mentioned this picture video many times. I want to meet this woman so bad. When he flipped off that lady in our bar,
he didn't flip her off. She flipped him off.
But he blew her kisses.
Yeah.
After he should have gotten a penalty for pinning Keegan Colasar down in the corner and giving him 3 body blows. That's a picture that needs to live in infamy of Edmonton Oilers history of. Yeah, we fucked it. Yeah, that was a moment of moments before disaster.
Moments before disaster that they were so convinced was leading to their victory, and in fact was one of the first early signs that they would lose.
It's a key moment of their downfall, right? But that's what we're saying is we talk about LTIR in the usage of bringing back superstar players, right? Where Stone, that's a big thing because Stone is a star player. Stone's our captain. Stone's one of our best players, probably our 3rd best player. Not this year, 4th best player because Dorofiev and Hurdle and Eichel. He's a top 5 player.
I would say he's still better than Dorofiev. He doesn't score as much, but
he's overall complete player.
Yeah.
So he's one of our top players. Whereas with Evander Kane, I would argue he's not even a top 5 player for the Oilers.
Probably not.
Heiskanen is their 2nd, 3rd best player.
They're just so desperate for any semblance of depth that they will view Evander Kane as a massive. Massive boost at the playoffs.
You don't have to play fucking Noah Philp.
Yeah.
Right? Or Derek Ryan. Or don't have to depend on Jeff Skinner to be a top 6 forward.
Hope that Connor Brown will score his fucking 4th goal or whatever.
But that's the whole thing is we've talked about it so much is LTIR is it's there for a reason. Everybody agreed to it, right?
Well, and again, it's kind of like the Landeskog thing. I'm not mad that they're using LTIR to keep these players on the shelf.
It's a allowable rule, yeah.
It's fine. I'm like, yeah, that's part of the game. Again, I'm only irritated, about the double think, about the Vegas derangement syndrome, about the way people perceive it and twist it and view it. It's such a heinous. That's not a word.
Yeah, Your Highness.
Your Highness. It's such a heinous, unimaginable crime for Vegas to do it. But if Dallas or Colorado or Edmonton do it, all good.
Well, it's a lot. It's like
it's fine.
That's
actually smart GMing if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, now that it's teams that people like, right? But it's like with Florida, where they use the tax exemptions and they're non-tax. And then again this year, that people are crying about them using LTI for Tkachuk. But that was with what? So it's okay if Dallas does it, but not okay if Florida and Vegas does it.
Well, I do think it's hilarious that no one gave a flying fuck about Florida's tax situation until they started winning games.
It became a concern across the league, and they're like, oh yeah, Tampa's got that too. Vegas has got that. Dallas.
Do you know why Florida's good? It's because they don't have state taxes.
It's not
because they fired Dave Talon and hired Bill Zito.
No,
it's
not
because
at all.
of the taxes.
It's the taxes. No taxes. Vegas isn't good because of the LTIR and taxes.
Remember when they traded Jonathan Huberdeau for Matthew Tkachuk and everyone thought they were fucking stupid, us included, because they also threw in Mackenzie Weegar.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit insane.
And look how it worked out.
Look how it worked out. I mean, that's what the whole thing is. If the deals you're making, Bill Zito, again, top 5 GM in the league. But, if those deals work out, it all doesn't matter how you get there, right? And you know what? We've got a little bit of time left. I wanted to end it with a little special talk. Got a very special game tonight.
Yes.
Obviously the last home game of the season, but it is the first time that Jonathan Marchessault's back at the Fortress.
Jonathan Marchessault?
Since leaving the team in the offseason. We got a little bit of time. I want to talk about, any of your favorite Jonathan Marchessault moments over the last 7 or last 8 years.
Man, you should have warned me. I could have made a top 10 list. No, I always have a few on hand. One of them is going to sound dumb, but it's not a positive memory. It's a very bad memory. But I really came to respect him after this. After we lost to the Sharks in Game 7 in that disaster. he was the one in the locker room. This is before we had a captain. He was the one in the locker room that talked to the press and stood up and, basically said what needed to be said. And he wasn't, like, complaining. He wasn't crying. He wasn't bitter. He owned up, like, we should have killed those penalties and we should have done whatever. And ultimately it was on us. And he even said, like, I don't blame the refs. He's like, the way the system is working right now, he's like, it's fucking broken. Like,
yeah.
And he used the phrase that I love. He's like, give them some help. He's like, give the refs some help. He's like, it's a fast game. They're out there. They're trying to call things. And he's like, give them some help. Like, we have cameras. We have technology. Give them some help. And you know what happened after the season ended? The NHL instituted a new rule where 5-minute majors can be reviewed after the fact and reduced to a 2-minute.
But that's a great point. Like,
I really appreciated his poise and his honesty and his candor. And like I said, he didn't cry. He wasn't angry. He was angry, but he wasn't pissing and moaning. He made a very legitimate point.
Yeah,
and that was the first moment where I was like, man, you're not just a flashy scorer. No. You're also a leader.
Yeah, very much. And then do you remember they had put his audio out after, obviously we won, and they had all the, the documentary and everything. I think he was talking to Theodore, and he said, in my dream or in my vision, we were winning in gold. And
we weren't wearing the white. We were wearing the gold.
He was like, what? What are you saying? We're wearing these. And he was like, oh, like he kind of laughed it off in the moment, but then you're like, damn. Like,
no, for real. Like, obviously, this man had like a clear-cut prophetic dream that they would win the cup.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that he told the room about it in Florida before Game 4, and then they lost, and then or was it Game 3?
Game 3, yes. I know.
I feel like I should know that.
I very remember it's Game 3 because Game 1 and 2. Wait, no.
Oh yeah, because it was
Game 3 because Game 1 and 2 were at home. You went to Game 2.
I went to Game 2,
and then Game 3. I remember
I watched it with coworkers at an awful bar.
Yeah, I was watching it on my phone on the bus.
Rancid vibes, and I was like, I'll never come here again.
I was watching it on my phone on the bus to Luau on our cruise.
Oh my god!
Watching it, and my mom.
You don't have any Hawaiian vacations planned for early June?
No, I don't. Okay. No. We're only going to San Diego for a little bit over Memorial Day weekend. That's it.
Valid.
But I was sitting there watching my phone. My brother's Victoria's next to me. My brother's behind me watching it through the crack of the seat. My mom and my dad are asking me for live up. Everybody was into it. They were in our little group, and I'm like, overtime. We got it to overtime, and they scored. I'm just like, the bus was silent, and the guy was talking. You hear, fuck! Just scream from the back of the bus.
Like, oh, there's a Florida fan back there.
And then Victoria's like, oh man. And my mom was like, did we lose? I'm like, yes. I fucking slammed my phone. I'm putting this shit away.
Yeah, I'm told Knights fan.
But then we won Game 4 and won Game 5.
Yeah.
It's all fucking. It's all well that ends well, right?
Well. Hey, he said it himself in his vision. They were wearing gold. Yeah. They weren't wearing white.
Do you remember his Twitter spat?
Oh, that's a top
all time just cocky moment. But
shut the fuck up, little dick. Go suck on your mommy's tits. Classic.
Tyler, do you remember Jonathan Marchessault's Twitter blow up?
Was that the mummy's titties one? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We were talking about, do you have any favorite Marchessault moments since it's his first game back?
I mean, that one's up there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
There's so many, right?
There's the
hard season he had 40-something goals. There's
he's just
the cup. There's this.
Getting the awarded the Conn Smythe was that was amazing.
Yeah.
He's been my favorite player probably since the second year.
Yeah.
The first year I wasn't too focused in, but
we're the same way. Our first year what brought us in is oh man, this team really performed really well, and then we got sucked into the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now you pay attention to all those guys. Yeah. People talk about Marc-Andre Fleury getting a statue, but as much as leaving hurt last year, Marchessault's a guy that gets retired.
I think 81's in the rafters, dude. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Why I resonated with him is we're essentially the same size person. He's got 20 pounds on me, and I'm sure in muscle mass.
I'm sure. Yeah, the guy is shredded.
We're the same height, and to see a guy like him out there competing with these monsters
and doing it so well,
and actually putting them on the ice too.
And that's why I think I respect him. He's a small guy, but he's throwing his fucking body into it.
Yeah, it's just like pure fire and
dude,
pure
tenacious.
like, feistiness.
He was one of the few players that I've noticed would not give up on the puck on certain situations, like when they went deep and he was the only guy they were doing a change behind him. He was fucking in there.
You know how everybody's like, oh, the guy's got like pit bull energy. You know what it is? It's those mini pit bulls that have the big ass heads but little bodies.
Yeah,
like the wiener dog pit bulls. That's Jonathan Marchessault.
But he had the strength to back it up. That was the thing.
Exactly. And
he's
a small.
He's pushing guys around.
And he's like what, like 5'8",
5'9".
Yeah, he's
probably 6 on skates, right? Whatever.
I just thought of a great Marchessault moment. Game 6 against the Oilers, hat trick in Edmonton, eliminates them.
Dude, I threw my hat onto the ice for that game. I was there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You were in Edmonton?
Oh, wait, no, sorry. This was when we eliminated the Avs.
Oh, yeah. We were there for that one, too. Yeah,
he hattied that night, too.
That was the hattie when he eliminated the Avs.
I lost my favorite fucking Golden Knights hat. I was pissed about it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like,
that was an amazing moment,
we talk about, like, with Smith when he wasn't playing when he came back, Fleury when he first came back. All those guys matter, right? But I don't think anybody matters as much as Jonathan Marchessault.
His personality put him above, like, everyone else, right?
His personality is what being a Golden Knight meant, right?
Yeah, he was the embodiment of the misfit.
He was the embodiment of the misfit, and he was a leader. And at practice, in games, like he would take accountability, but he also had that competitiveness and that fire to like fire up the rest of the team.
Even in games that didn't seem to matter, he was always playing at 100%.
First, and they always use this. Well, the first undrafted since Gretzky. Fuck that. It doesn't count. The first undrafted player to win the Conn Smythe.
Yeah.
Period. I don't give a shit. Like, well, Gretzky wasn't. Well, no, it's because they bought the fucking WHL or whatever the fuck it was. WHA. I don't give a shit. That doesn't count. The first undrafted player to ever win the Conn Smythe.
Yeah. He was my first jersey purchase.
That's my first my wife's first jersey. Yeah. Like, it's just this fiery little, he's just a little firecracker. This little fiery French Canadian.
And he could fucking shoot.
And do you remember the was it the year we missed the playoffs when we our first year with the those reverse retros 2s? We just had we just had such a terrible record in those reverse retros. But I was at the game where we were getting just absolutely ass blasted by the Vancouver Canucks. We got good tickets on cheap. We're just getting destroyed. And so by the end of it, you can see Marchessault was very frustrated, and he went up to Connor Garland and started beating the shit out of him. I'm like, oh my god, little guy fight. Connor Garland will fucking put him up too, and he's a tough guy. But Marchessault, that's what I loved about Marchessault. It's the fire, just like he's always like ready to go. And
his tenacity.
Yes, tenacity. That's a good word.
Made him a perfect fit for the system that we had at the time.
Agreed. So. We'll be there tonight. We will not be booing.
No, we will be cheering. I will be cheering for that man.
Yep. Listeners, if I see you booing,
I will fight you. We will fight you. Jake
catch me in the parking lot.
Jake and I will show up in your section.
Me in the parking lot.
Beat you up. Jacob's sister can fight.
She's taller than I am.
She probably got a pretty mean right hook. My wife can fight too, so
I
got a couple ladies that can beat the shit out of you. Jacob and I, we can probably, we're a little bit bigger guys, we can fight, but the women will bring with us. They got mean right hands.
I can tackle someone.
Exactly. But to end it, it's going to be a fun night tonight. Yes. I think it's going to be an emotional. I was getting emotional right there.
Me too.
Talking about it,
thinking of all the good times.
I think it's going to be the most. Obviously winning the cup is huge, but I think in a regular season, this is gonna be like one of the most emotional nights in Vegas Golden Knights history.
Oh,
right?
Easily.
I might cry.
I will tear up for sure.
Probably. Like, I'm sure that.
I've never been in the building for a return.
The only one I was in there for was Pickles and Miramanov. But that really didn't matter, right? Because
I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but
it wasn't as big, right?
I'll just say they didn't have quite the impact.
I wasn't there for Tuck. I wasn't there for Fleury. I wasn't there for because I wanted to go to Fleury, but they scratched him at the last minute, and I was like, I'm not buying tickets.
Spent fucking $250 on upper bowl tickets.
But then, I wasn't there for Smith. But yeah, this is the first real one I'm there for, right? And that kind of matter, a guy that matters. The guy that probably matters the most in
Agreed.
The entire history of the Golden Knights. So should be a very good game. I'm excited. Last home game of the year. Next week, will be the playoff preview, right? That's going to be...
Yeah, we only have 2 more games
probably
after
our
this.
longest episode.
Vancouver, Calgary. But yeah...
all we got to do is win tonight.
We'll have to plan a day to when we want to do it, but because game 1's on Sunday.
Is it going to be for sure Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Next weekend's going to be fucking insane in Vegas.
Yep.
They've got
WrestleMania,
and then a bunch of wrestling, and those they're planning for like 100K people. It's 2 nights, 100K people a day.
Yeah.
Plus like their regular shows, and then game 1 of the playoffs.
This is when you do want to leave at 4 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game.
Exactly. Not right. Not
but
today.
I heard it might be like as early as noon.
Damn. Well, we'll be here.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll do a playoff preview. We'll focus on Vegas and whoever will be our solidified opponent. But
we'll probably know by
we'll cover all 16 teams. But
until next week. Yeah.
Till then, get excited, get ready,
have fun,
enjoy these last few games, and stay gold.
Stay
Alex.
gold.